Welcome to the Gridiron Insight, and I'm your host, Marcus Dent. And I got my sidekick, Jason Watkins from the Football Hall of Fame, and a very, very special guest, a brother of mine, Mr. David Johnson from 24/7 Sports. Man, what's going on, guys?
What's up,
Man,
Marcus?
thank you for having me, Marcus. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. We've been talking. Me and Jason been talking about having you on for a while, man, and we finally got you on here. But before we go too far in the show, everybody, hit that like button and subscribe. Hit that like button. You do me a favor, help me keep this content coming to you for free. And it just helps the channel flow a lot better. So, guys, we everybody around here is in the sports and we see a lot of things that are going on in college football right now. But Dave, I want to get your take since you cover college football for a university. I want to get your take on the portal in the NIL situation and how it's evolving and where you think it's going, and you think what are some of the problems you think that has to be fixed, and some of the things that we can, just kind of hang our hats on what you think is coming along in the future.
Yeah, I think that Marcus, it's the wild, wild west. Um, Coaches have no way of knowing who's going to be there and who's not going to be there after certain points of the season. This year we have a winter portal, then we had a spring portal.
Correct.
The coaches don't like having two portals. They don't like that. They want to know what they've got going into a season. Um, I don't know if that's fair to the kids, to be honest with you, because, okay, things change. You finish a season, and in your mind, you're projected to start the next year, but you go through spring ball, and coaches brought in all these portal guys. They're on top of you now. You're
Yes.
not going to start. Are you going to spend another year sitting behind the eight ball and wasting a year of eligibility? And so, I think ultimately what you're going to see happen is the rules are going to side towards the college football programs
Definitely.
because who's making the rules? They are.
Right.
And but to answer your question, this is pure madness. I mean, you look at Ole Miss's roster from the 23 season to the 24 season, and it was about 50% brand new kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not sustainable, if you ask me. And it's a turnoff to the fans. You
Yeah.
you got a quarterback that goes out there, throws for 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns, and of course he's going to have his hand out. I want more, and if you don't give him more, he's
It's
going into the
gone.
portal. And the schools have no way of holding those kids to contracts.
Well,
They,
let
they,
me
they can't do that.
well let me ask you this. This is what a lot of people don't understand. Those contracts are really agreements. And that's what a lot of people don't understand because they can go in and change that contract at any time. At any time. And with the portal like it is right now, how difficult is it for you guys to be able to cover this? Does it make your job harder or does it make your job I know it makes
Well,
your job more. I know it gives you more content. Definitely. It has to give you more content. But I know, being a writer, I know that has to make your job a lot harder.
yeah, I mean, it used to be everybody rolled their sleeves up and it was nothing but buttholes and elbows up until National Signing Day on the first Wednesday of February.
Right.
That's the way it used to be. Now, in addition to your high school class that can sign early or sign in February, you've got two transfer portal classes, and everything's a moving part. And I mean, the old saying about recruiting, covering recruiting, you miss a day, it's kind of like shaving. You miss a day, you look like a bum. That's the truth, Marcus. And
Yeah, I know. I know, man.
it's it, it's wacky, totally wacky. And how's it going to end? I don't know, but I know this: nobody has a garden full of money trees that the money
No,
just grows endlessly.
no. Yeah.
So sooner or later, it's going to have to be kept because you're already seeing schools, G5 schools, they're forced out of the market. They can't play for big things anymore. Yes, the 12-team playoff allowed room for Boise State to get in,
Should have
but we
never
saw
did
what
that.
happened to Boise State.
Right.
Yeah, they can't compete in terms of the talent they're assembling for their rosters.
Right.
And, I don't know. I honestly don't know where it's heading, but not to a good place.
And Jason, you want to comment on that? I know you cover a lot. You've seen a lot of kids come and go just at OU in the last,
Sure.
I want to say 3 or 4 weeks. So, what do you feel about that? Some of the kids you felt like, okay, this kid had a chance to make an impact, and then all of a sudden they're gone. You know.
Well, I think it's I think there's a lot of moving parts with it, like Dave was saying. It's there's the coaches and what they want and what they'd like to see, which, I think it's fair to say, hey, we'd love to know who we got on our roster for just a year at a time. But I also think that, and we've talked about this quite a bit lately, but to me, it feels like there's a lot of this complaining and stuff about this stuff coming from the NCAA, coming from the coaches, coming from these schools. And the truth is that the rules have all been made by the coaches, the schools, the NCAA.
Mhm.
And so the fact is, if they want to fix how many portals you got or whatever, and I don't even know that the transfer portal is even all that. We've seen players that have not worried about the transfer portal. They just left school and then they pop up somewhere else down the road. Now, I am in full agreement that you've got to come up with some parameters. My guess is, and my feelings are, that you'd see a lot more of this stuff happening if you had collective bargaining in a way. You've got to, in order for you to get the kind of uh protections that you get from litigation and that kind of stuff, that's going to require you to have collective bargaining. And I just don't believe that the schools, the conferences, or the coaches are ready to do that. And
Well,
until they're ready to do that, I don't really know that you're going to get this fixed.
Well, here's my biggest problem with that portal. Not the fall portal, but more or less the portal that we have in the spring. You have a kid. They go in and they play their butts off during the spring, and the coach say, you know what, we really need to go in another direction. Well, you mess around and you say, okay, I'm gonna tell this kid we don't need him anymore. And then guess what? That kid does not have. Let's just say he's a kid at Alabama. He can't transfer to Mississippi State. He can't transfer to Ole Miss. He can't transfer to Tennessee. He's stuck. So how are you're not protecting? The NCAA. They're not protecting the kids from rules like what the SEC has.
That's the point
So
that I was trying to make
And
too.
yeah.
Marcus,
So
Like,
so what now, Dave?
Marcus, that's why they want to take away the second portal right now. Because look, let's be honest, coaches lie. Okay,
Oh, all the time.
and coaches will lie in December, right before St. Nick comes, or January, and to keep a kid on his roster. Well,
Right.
if he can successfully do that at the end of the season, and they remove that spring transfer portal period, that kid's stuck.
He's stuck like
He's
Chuck.
either
Can't go anywhere.
he's not going anywhere,
Yeah.
and
And that's
that's not fair to the players. And I'll tell you this: they're never going to be able to put this toothpaste back in the tube
yeah.
ever. You know why? Because school A paid quarterback B $3 million last year, and now you're telling me I can't get $3 million? I'm better than quarterback B.
Oh yeah. You're gonna
It's never going back in the tube.
no.
Yeah, you can't put it back. And then let's get to pretty much the high school guys. And right now I'm seeing so many kids suffer that we know that would have been had offers if it wasn't for this portal.
Mhm.
It's that the big tall receiver. Not gonna call any names. If that kid, if it
Yeah,
was 4 years ago, that kid has offers out the yin yang. But right now,
yeah,
he's not being able to get those offers for the simple reason that, hey, You got out. They recruit the portal. They don't recruit high school. If you're somewhere rebuilding the program, you going to the portal. You're not going to the high school to rebuild your program because you take schools that are mid-major schools and the coaches are not getting the big contracts. So guess what? I got to go get high. I can't go get high school guys. I need to rebuild this because they can get rid of them easily. Easily. They don't have the big
Yeah,
buyouts or whatever situation is. So they got to go to the portal to get a kid. You go get a high school kid, you got to train them up the way you want them to be trained. You got to get them allocated to your system and all that good stuff. When you go find a kid, let's just say a kid is in the portal and he played in a similar system that you run. So guess what? I go get this kid and I teach him. Although I got a high school kid, I feel like it's going to be a great athlete. But this kid right here, it's a short fuse on him. I don't need that much a fuse to light the bomb on him. So that's the
yeah. And
situation that you have.
how would you like to be the head coach at an Arkansas State or a Southern Mississippi
Right.
or UT Martin or wherever, and you're basically running a farm system now?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if Arkansas State's quarterback is all Sun Belt his sophomore year, you can tell him bye. He's
He's
gone.
gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
You take we'll take Arkansas Pine Bluff was a horrible school in the SWAC, but they had two really good players that ended up playing FBS football because guess what? They were the best two kids on that team, and neither one of them are there right now.
Well,
So I mean,
Mississippi Valley's wide receiver last year, who was a finalist for the Connerly Trophy, left. He's at North Texas now.
right.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Doesn't matter
and
where you at.
these bigger schools are I mean, there's predatory recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kicking rosters, they're shaking the dust off things, and there are ways of getting in touch with a kid without
Oh
getting in
yeah.
touch with a
Oh
kid.
yeah.
We all know that.
Oh, we all know that.
So
That's simple now.
no, it's a
No such
damn
thing as
mess,
tampering.
guys.
Yeah, no such thing as tampering anymore.
Nah, nah, there's no
No,
such thing as
no,
tampering
no.
anymore. That's dead. So let's get to something that we're both dear to, and that's high school recruiting and kids being able to get a chance to be seen in front of college coaches. And that's one thing I just got off the phone with a parent. Um, had the she was asking me, what do I need to do? And her kid is in the ninth grade, so she's starting right now, which is a good thing. And we have the mega camp coming up in June 1st in Jackson, Mississippi, at the vet. Hey, if you out here listening or however you getting this podcast, if you got a young athlete and you want to get a chance for them to be seen, come on out. We got over 45 coaches from all over the country that's going to be there. So, Dave, what do you say to the
40,
parent?
40
Well, and we just
45 colleges,
45
coaches, but
colleges, 45 colleges, and just added Lincoln University. I didn't get a chance to tell you that they called, they will be there. So, what do you say to a parent right now? Is as much recruiting that have you had covered in your last 15, 20 years of cover? What do you say to a parent right now?
number one, count. Okay, don't ever let anybody tell you don't count. And you got to be selective about the camps you go to because everybody with a whistle around their neck is running some kind of camp, and not all of them are
Everybody,
equal.
right?
Um, so, go camp at the school, get to know the coaches, um, and let them start to get to know you.
Correct.
Um, you mentioned and it's up on the screen now, our June 1st mega camp down at Jackson State. More than 45 colleges will be there um, all day long in a relaxed environment where you, as a parent, you can talk to the coach,
Right.
you can communicate, um, you can find out what's really going on. And let me ask you this.
Build that relationship, building relationships, man.
Yeah, yeah. And first of all, and those of you who are regular listeners, you know darn well who Marcus's son is, Isaiah Autry, the freshman offensive tackle at Oklahoma. So he knows what it takes to get a young man across the line. My son Eli Johnson started at center for Ole Miss, so I think I know a little bit about it. Go to camps, communicate with coaches, build relationships, and finally, I mean, the young man has just got to let it all hang out.
You got to
You've
let it
got
all
to,
hang out.
you've got to compete like there's dynamite in your drawers. I mean, you got to go. And
Well, and that's one thing I can say about the Southern Elite. As long as we've been doing it together, you have to be ready to compete when you come there because you got a lot of hungry kids. You
yeah,
know,
and
you got a lot of hungry kids, so you got to be ready to compete because it's going to be intense, it's going to be upbeat, but you got to be ready to compete.
hey, and if I may step across the line into Oklahoma territory, um, I'll tell you a story about the Southern Elite. So we started getting this kid from Oklahoma showing up at different events we were putting on, and we got to know him real well. And he came to I want to say it was our 2015 um, combine that we had
Uh,
in Oxford, and just a relatively unknown kid, didn't have a lot of offers, maybe a couple of G5s at the time, and he comes in and just destroys people all day long. And I finally had to grab him and go, look, man, you're on your 71st one-on-one rep. This is too much. You got to get out. You got to get out. And you know, he won most valuable offensive lineman that day, and he went on to sign with the Oklahoma Sooners. Um, Started, I think, 4 years out there, if I'm not
I think he
mistaken.
did. Yeah, that's him.
Creed Humphrey, also Patrick Mahomes center, Super Bowl champion. Not right now. The Eagles did kind of won that, but
Yeah, they kind of dethroned him a little
he,
bit.
he, he he has some Super Bowl rings.
Right.
But I mean, that's a classic case
Yeah.
of a kid coming in, and there are more. I mean, you know, Ben Brown, Ben Brown from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Ben comes to Ole Miss and has a great career, and then he signs an undrafted free agent deal with the Houston Texans, and they cut him loose. And you know what he did this last season? He was
Oh,
a
he was a starter. Yeah.
starting center for the New England Patriots. So I mean, that's just a couple of the success stories. And yes, I'm partial to offensive linemen, but we've had
What we had? You had Patrick Queen.
Patrick Queen. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God,
yeah. You had
Patrick
Patrick
Queen.
Queen. We
I
had
didn't know
Willie
Pat.
Gay. Willie
Listen,
Gay.
I didn't know Patrick Queen from anybody. He's
Right.
from Vidalia, Louisiana. As a 10th grader, he shows up at the Southern Elite. And I meet his dad, and we get to talking, and we see that Patrick's got some potential. And next thing I know, he's back next year. And then he starts to blow up, and he's got all these offers. He comes back his senior year, and he's now an All-Pro linebacker, now playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How about that?
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
just
you
incredible.
man, it's incredible. And then we just talk about in the last let's just say last 2 years from Trey Petty to Deuce Knight. I mean, we had some really good quarterbacks. What's his John White that was at Southern Miss. I think he's at Arkansas State now.
Shea
Um,
Patterson, Shea
Shea
Patterson,
Patterson, he went Ole Miss, Michigan, and now he's playing in the CFL as a starter in the CFL. So I mean, there's a lot of kids that come through the camp. But I want the parents to understand, you need to learn how to camp, and this is a place for you to learn how to camp. You come to the Southern League, it's gonna be a little raw. What I mean by raw, there's gonna be a lot of talent and a lot of hungry kids. But I could tell you, everybody that I know, that even from Isaiah to Will Eccles, who's at Ole Miss, say they learned how to camp when they came there. And that's something that I kind of want to hang a hat on, when it comes to camping. And you got to get a chance to know these coaches, because just because a coach is at Louisiana Lafayette, your son's in the ninth grade, that doesn't mean he's gonna be there 2 years from now. He might be at Ole Miss 2 years from now. So you might have a couple analysts that are gonna be at the camp, but guess what? 2 years from now they might not be there. They might be at Notre Dame. You never know. My nephew, perfect example, comes to Ole Miss, camps at Ole Miss, and y'all had a GA that was there, and he leaves and goes to Arkansas State. Well, they're looking for linebackers. He remembered this kid that came to Ole Miss that ran a 4.5, a linebacker, and boom, guess what he did? He offered him. So coming making the connections and actually meeting the coaches and getting numbers and so you can get your film to them and actually bond with a lot of these coaches. That's some people don't understand. They think that your high school coach can do it all. Not knocking any high school coach or anything like that, but you got to be seen. And we used to say, oh, if it's on tape, it's on tape. But we know, Dave, you can speed those tapes up. You can do a lot of different things to tape. So the coaches actually want to see your length. They want to see your ability. And coming to the Southern League, you're going to get that seen. And you're not even talking about the catapult. So your data is going to be recorded. Your data is going to be recorded to all these colleges that want your data. They're going to be able to get your data. So they can track you from the ninth grade all the way to the 12th grade. That's
Yeah,
something different that a lot of people don't do that we do
I also want to point out, you know, Marcus and I will both be available all day long.
all day long.
And in the past, we have cobbled together some little mini recruiting seminars. We may do that down here at Jackson as well. Just a Q&A session with the parents. Um,
That
because
definitely need to be done.
we're in the business, but to a mom and dad, what does it mean that I pulled out 5 letters from Notre Dame today? What does that mean? What does it mean that Florida State is writing my kid, or that Alabama came by the school? Um, you know, it can mean different things, but you know, I have boxes upon boxes, and I know you do too, Marcus, of the
Yeah,
letters that that my son got when he was being recruited, and most of them didn't amount to a
no.
hill of beans. You know, that's
That con-
just
the, the contact when that coach contact the parent or
yep.
the kid, that means business. You understand what I'm saying? That means business. So that's one of the things that I really want to get the parents to understand. These connections, these relationships, you got to be able to build those relationships. And this is the one of the best times that you can do it because we're going to make these coaches available to your kids. They're going to be walking around and they'll get to pull your kid to the side, and if they want to speak to the parent, they can do that. Many You
Uh,
don't get the chance to do that at every camp.
yeah, and chances are, if they want to speak to your kid, they want to speak to you because
Exactly.
they know you're as important in that recruiting process as the player is.
Correct.
They're trying to win the player's heart, but they're trying to win yours as well.
Definitely. And that's one thing, last year, as soon as the camp was over with, what really, I didn't think about it because we had so much stuff going on. But as soon as the camp was over with, it was like, Coach, can we get those numbers? Because they want to see the numbers. They want to see the measurables. They want to see how fast you can move from left to right. They want to see how explosive you are. I do know Jeff was telling me this a couple months ago that he had to go to Alabama to a high school in Alabama. He went to a high school in Florida, and Alabama was recruiting a kid. It was a defensive tackle, and they wanted both of them use catapult, so they was wanting them to put the vest on both kids because they wanted the data. Well, they end up getting the kid, I think from Alabama, and the reason why they got that kid was because when the football went away from him, you could see his heartbeat. You could see his motor still going. You could see him still trying to get to the football. The other kid, when the ball went away from him, he took the play off. You could tell by his heartbeat. You can tell by his impact. So this catapult vest, when you come out there, you got to be 100 the whole time you out there. The whole time you out there. So we're giving you an opportunity to get data you know, to coaches. This is something and this is, you don't have to pay for this. You don't have to pay for the data. The data is automatically sent to them.
Yeah, that's right. And man, we can't thank Jeff enough for being a part of this and what he did
Oh,
last
definitely.
year for us. Um, just absolutely amazing. And the thing also to realize is you come to the Jackson State Mega Camp, and let's say you want to offer from Georgia. Well, Georgia's going to have access to your catapult numbers, even though they're not going to be there.
Right.
You
It
know
doesn't
that
matter. Any school in the country that use Catapult has access to your numbers.
that's right.
All they got to do is go in there and click in your name and your school, and that's going to pop right up. So we got a lot of schools that are coming, that's going to be there, and I'm telling you parents this: just because your kid does not get that P4 offer doesn't mean anything, because we talked about something earlier called the portal. And if you go to Jackson State, you go to Valley, you go to EMCC, wherever you go, if you go and ball out, your chances are you have an opportunity to get there. That's I mean, that's just the way it is right now. So want to definitely put that out. And there will be JUCO colleges there also. Everybody can't make it to the to the big stage, but guess what? That JUCO offer means a lot these days. There are a lot of kids that played JUCO football 4 years ago would not get a JUCO scholarship right now.
Oh yeah, and look, there's something for everyone for every level. If you've got ability and you want to play college football, um, this is a stage for you to be on. And I know just right offhand, Cahoma's going to be there, Mississippi Delta, uh,
Hines,
Hines, Mississippi Gulf Coast, uh,
Colin,
Colin. I mean, it's just about everybody in the state will be there, and it's an amazing opportunity, and it's an investment opportunity. I mean, if you're going to the casino on Friday night and laying down $100 on red, why not come to the Jackson State Mega Camp and bet that $100 on your son?
correct, definitely. And that's one thing that I try to get in parents. I have a lot of parents call me and say, "Well, my high school coach said he's not ready for this."
Uh,
Here's the deal: your high school coach, and this is to everybody out there. I'm not downing any high school coach, but guess what, guys? Your high school coach can't call and get you a scholarship. It doesn't work like that anymore. It used to. It used to work like that. Now he can call the school and say, "Hey, you need to come look at the kid," and they'll come look at him. But the good old days, the way it was done back in the day, that's not the case right now. You got to camp. You got to be seen. And then, guys, this is another opportunity. You come to the camp, you come to the mega camp, and it might be a school say, "Oh, you know what? I want to see him in a little bit more private setting." So guess what they're going to turn around? They're going to turn around and invite you to one of their camps. We seen it happen at Ole Miss last year. We seen Bryson Walters did really well at the camp. He was, I think he won like the MVP, one of the MVPs of the camp. The next week he goes to Ole Miss. They invite him up to Ole Miss to camp, and what happened? Boom, Ole Miss offers. We saw the same thing happen for some kids at La Tech. So this camp is not to tell all. Tell all. You might not get an offer, but guess what? You might pique interest from a school that
and
start recruiting you from
and
coming to the camp.
to further your point, let me tell you, an SEC coach told me directly. He said, "We love coming to these things because we're looking for the younger kids. We know who the juniors and the seniors are for the most part. We're still sorting through the freshmen and the sophomores. And what I'm saying is, this camp is equally important, whether you're going into ninth grade or you're going into 12th grade. It's across the board equally important.
Porter kids also.
Yep, which
Porter
we
kids
have.
also.
We have a few.
Hmm. Yeah. So if well, Dave, you take some of the junior college kids and some of the Porter kids. Last year, I think we had a tight end that showed up, and
We did.
he ended up getting signed by somebody. I can't remember exactly what, but man, you could tell, and they were all over him. You
No,
know,
he was a tight end from the portal, actually from Jackson State.
right?
And Jackson State's coaches, I talked to them that day because they were at the camp. They told me he would have probably been their starter.
Oh
That's
yeah, I
how.
remember saying that. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. So, like I said, that's one thing that's the point that we want to get across to just a lot of you parents. And I know there's a lot of misinformation out there right now. It's a lot of misinformation. Whether you go to a 1A or you go to a 7A, you all on the same level when you come to the Southern League. You got to ball out. So if you're a 1A kid, which Isaiah was a 1A kid when he first went, but getting a chance to go up against a 7A defensive tackle and you start beating those kids, well, the coach is not worried about whether you playing 1A right now. He's looking at what you did at camp.
Prime example of that, Ben Brown. Played at St. Aloysius in Vicksburg, one of the smallest private schools in the state of Mississippi. And Ben walked away. By the time signing day rolled around, he had tons of SEC offers and other Power Four offers as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. That's I mean, it can catapult you up here. And that's one thing we want the parents to say, hey, look, I want my kid to get in, I want him to grind. And I'm gonna say this, David, you can remember we was doing a regional camp and we had a parent that kid was kind of she was like, well, he didn't get many reps. And you go over there, he got his hand behind his back
Yep.
because the competition is there. So if your kid want to compete, this is the place for you. If your kid want to compete and he want to get an opportunity to go up against some guy, now we got some dudes coming. Dave, we got some guys that already pretty much got a lot of have a ton of offers right now, and you'll get a chance to go up against that guy. And I know you talked to some of them. You've retweeted some of their information. So I mean, we could talk about a few of the kids that are coming that we have coming to the camp this year.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, the son of a former Heisman Trophy winner, Charles Woodson.
Oh yeah.
How about Charles Woodson Jr. is going to be at our camp? He's out of Lake Nona, Florida, high school. Already has SEC offers, um, but they're bringing a bus up from Orlando,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at the registrations every day, and it's Dr. Phillips and Lake Nona and all these Orlando area high schools, and I finally just had to call and find out what was going on. But the Mr. Woodson and some friends are bringing a bus up with all of these top players from Central Florida. So, man, we're excited about hosting them and having them and seeing how our Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama talent meshes up. And
Yes.
I think everybody's going to hold their own.
And Dr. Phillips is a high school that has won several state champions. I think they won it last year, if I'm not mistaken. If they didn't win it last year, it was 2023 they did. But you think about being a 1A kid from Biggersville, Mississippi. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing something out there. A 1A school at Biggersville, Mississippi, and you go up against a 7A kid from Florida who has offers, who is being recruited. You get
Well,
that on film.
and who's got a college level weight room and a college level strength
Yes,
and conditioning program that you don't have in Bakersfield?
you don't have that. But you get a chance at the Southern Elite to go up against that guy. And that's something that is priceless, to be honest with you, because you can't get that just anywhere. You can't get that anywhere. And you go to Ole Miss camp, you go to Mississippi State camp, they have camps, and we encourage kids to go to those camps. Definitely. But you get a chance to go up against kids from everywhere at the Southern League. Texas, last year we had California kids. We had kids from New Jersey. So they're not just coming from around here. You get a chance to go up against some of the top talent in the United States of America
Well,
because
right now,
if and that's just where we are right now with the camp.
I'm going to see if I can do this off the top of my head, and you count them as I do this.
All right.
Minnesota, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. Okay, I think those are the states we have at this moment.
That's
Uh,
13 states.
13 states right now, with
13 states.
2.5 weeks of registration to go. Last year they were from 17 different states, so we'll see what this year holds.
Yeah. We even had one kid from Canada, if I'm
Yes,
not mistaken, had a kid from Canada. They came down, it's a kid from Canada. They want to come down and compete because, they want to get a chance at, I just want to say it, earn that NIL. I mean, it is what it is. You coming down, you get a chance to compete, and you get a chance to go to college. It's a life changing thing. Now, it's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of windows and a lot of doors in college football, but it's one thing about it. This camp gives you an opportunity to get your foot in the door, and there's a lot of mega camps out there, but we have been steady for the last 3 years doing the mega camps and had a ton of production. Over 100 offers that we know of have
yeah,
been given out. That's just if we know of. That's not camp invites. That's not phone calls. That's not connection with parents. That's 100 offers that we know of.
yeah. And why? I got to be honest with you. Why would you pay to go to a camp that there are no decision makers there?
Yeah,
There are decision makers at the Jackson State Mega Camp. Every one of these coaches could offer you, and that's a free college education. And that's where I get back to bet on your son. Bet on your son on this day. And if you go out there and hump, I mean, you're going to get your college education paid for.
yeah.
Think about that.
Think
That's
about
the
it. That's the end all. And one more thing that we didn't bring up, but every year we have 4 or 5 come and they get offers, and that's specialists, that's punters, that's kickers, and that's
That's right.
long
That's right.
snappers. And I'm telling you guys, you long
Yep.
snappers, hey, you need to be there. That you long snappers need
Yeah,
to be there.
and Marcus, that's always the smallest portion of the camp.
Right.
And I don't know why. Because if you can kick a football, you can kick a football. If you can snap a football, you can
But
snap a
but
football.
every year we have kickers that get signed. Every year that we have had it, we have had kickers and punters that end up getting signed. Every year. So don't just waste your money on going to a kicking camp where you're just gonna have one coach there that, oh, I can call, I can make this. Won't you see all those schools on the flyer? Go where you can be seen. Say, hey, look, I seen a kid down at Jackson State camp hitting 50 yarders like it was like he was taking candy from a baby. I
Yeah.
promise you, you come down there, you show your leg, I promise you
Well,
somebody's gonna pick you
if you remember back a few years ago, LSU got a kicker from like a Division III school in Massachusetts.
up. Yeah, I remember that.
Because you know what? A 50-yard field goal is a 50-yard field goal, whether you're
Every
playing
day.
Division III or the SEC. And they went and got him, and man, he had a great season at LSU. So if you can kick a ball, you can kick a ball.
Regardless. Well, it doesn't make a difference where you at. And that's one thing I say about the speed. If you can run them, if they look at you got game day speed, and then you got 40 speed. Now you get on a laser, and I'm gonna be totally honest. You get on a laser, you can go to a trainer and learn how to run on that laser. You can. You can improve your score, maybe a point, point and a half, sometimes even 2 points. But when you put that vest on, it's you out there running routes. So you're getting a true speed of how fast you really are. They're getting a true testament of how quick you stop, how
Hmm.
fast you decel, and how fast you excel. Those type things that a laser cannot give you. It can't give you that. But I guarantee you that catapult vest give you every bit of it. And if why do you think half the colleges in the country are wearing them? Because they want the data. They actually need that data. So, they can look at that data and say, man, this kid ran 20 or 21. And I'm looking at his heart rate. He wasn't even at max. What if we get this kid and we pour into this kid and we can actually probably get him up to a 22 if he, when he's on the field with us. So there's a lot of things that is implemented into our camp that's not implemented into some other camps. And we're not telling you not to go anywhere else, but we're just telling you the facts that we have been doing this mega camp deal for the last 3 years and the last 15 years doing combines. So, that's one of the things. And I tell everybody, don't worry about um, what somebody else say, or well, I wouldn't go to that. It's gonna be too many kids there. No, everybody, we separate those kids so they don't get a chance to. Um, you don't have 300 kids out there at one time. You'll have your receivers and your defensive backs and everything out there, but you will not have um, 300 kids out there going at one time, because we want the coaches to be able to see the running backs. We want them to be able to see the receivers. We want them to be able to see the defense line and O line. So they're all going to
Yeah.
be separate times. So these coaches
And
can see them
everything you do, you're going to have 100 eyes on you at all times.
all times.
Whether they're college coaches, whether they're recruiting analysts like myself or Marcus, somebody's going to be watching you. If you're standing out, you will be noticed.
Yes,
And
definitely.
that's the bottom line.
Definitely. And we and parents, I'm telling you this. If you got whatever kind of phone you got, iPhone 6 or whatever situation, I'm just an old droid guy, but but if you want to record your kids from the stand, record. You need to get that information. Everything you need to make sure you get it. You get it. Because a coach might say, well, I don't. I said, look, coach, I'm gonna send him this. I'm gonna send him this. This was him at camp. This kid right here is committed to uh, Arizona. He's at a little 1A school going up against a kid that's committed, and he's doing really well. Well, let me go back and look at his film. Let me go back and check his film. Then that coach is going to go back and he's going to start doing some research on the kid. And that's how it starts. You might not get that offer that day, but the intangibles that you put out there on that field might pique the interest of one of these coaches. And later on down the line, it's going to what? It's going to lead to a scholarship, you know. So okay, but yes, that's those are some things that we just want to put out there, for the camp. It's coming up June 1st, and if, anything else, Dave, that you want to kind of talk about before we get out of here, man. I appreciate you coming on. That's for sure. Sure,
Oh,
like I
man.
said, been trying to get you on for a whole year.
Well, the last 60 days or so, I've been somewhat infirmed,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, no doubt.
but man, I'm getting better, and man, I can't wait for June 1st. That's all I
Oh
got to say.
Before we get off there, tell the parents and tell the people where they can find you. Give them your Twitter account, so they can
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
get on
Follow
the
me on
inbox.
Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Rebels247. At Rebels247. Uh, Better yet, have your sons follow me on Twitter
Yes.
at Rebels247, and I
Yeah,
will follow.
it'll be in the comments too. We'll also put it down in the comments so the parents
Yep.
can actually get a chance to see that. But like I said, Dave, man, I appreciate you coming on. Anytime you want to come on and talk football, I know we pretty much talking recruiting today. You want to talk some Ole Miss football, man? Come on. Hey, look, we'll talk. We'll do whatever you want to do, brother. But like I said, man, appreciate you coming on. Remember, parents, June 1st at the vet. Go sign up. um, we'll have the link in the description that you can go to the link in the description and sign up for the camp. And look, camp is filling up, so you can't wait till the last minute. And you want to get your son in the camp. So go ahead on do that and get them signed up. If you've been watching this, you hadn't hit that like button, hit that like button. Help us keep this free, and we appreciate you.